Hey everybody! Happy Tuesday. Here we are as always, and thank you for being here. Happy New Moon Week. That's where we're at this week, and that's got a lot to do with our intention. So I hope you are all doing well this Tuesday evening. Hopefully you had a nice weekend and the week is starting out nice for you. We'll put the intention up here if you haven't already seen it. If you don't already know, I try to release the intention early, or I do release the intention early. I share it usually Sunday evening, so that way you can just work with it a little bit, sit with it, see what comes up, see what happens, because yeah, there's a lot of really, really good stuff there. I'm going to just fix my screen here that's a little off of my camera because it's kind of bugging me, so I'm just going to do that. These affect us exactly the same, just because those paths are different. Even if you have birth charts that are similar to each other, so like twins, for example, you'll often see like some similarities, maybe some theme similarities, but things can often play out very, very differently. So that's why I like to let you sit it with yourself. If you have not already seen it, here it is. I allow mental connections to be stimulated. Mercury is there right now, and Jupiter is there. Jupiter will be in Gemini for the longest, so we have about a year of Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, where we've had just about a year of Jupiter in Taurus. So we have this shift going on, and we've talked about this recently too, about how it's shifting from that solid, earthly, practical, perhaps material type energy, physical energy, energy that applies to all of the different sensory and senses things. Now moving into this airy Gemini realm. So mental connections. I allow mental connections to be stimulated. Energy shift from Taurus into Gemini can make you feel a little bit ungrounded, maybe maybe that's a good thing too. Maybe like we've been a little too rigid, a little bit too solid, but it could make you feel a little bit less grounded, or maybe just if less grounded sounds like not positive enough, or it could be that you feel like you're able to move a little bit more. You don't feel quite as either like pinned, like tied to something, or like focused on like one specific thing, to where like maybe your mind starts to focus on lots of different things and stuff like that there. Hi Melissa, it's good to see you here. Thanks for being here. I'm glad that you're having really, really good energy and good vibes here too. Yeah, happy almost new moon. New moon is on Thursday, so we're going to talk about that. Yeah, so this shift that we've been having from Taurus into Gemini, it's really from feeling like you're down here stuck on the earth to like sky, like head up in the clouds, up in the sky type of thing. And for some people that can feel freeing, it can feel liberating, it can feel expansive, it can feel like we're able to see things differently, able to maybe problem solve things differently. But if you're somebody that maybe has like attention deficits of some kind, or like some sort of hyperactivity, some sort of like anxiety or other sorts of restlessness things, there is a potential for those type of things to kind of be amplified. So when we start to have this shift, even though we still have planets in Taurus, we still have Mars there. As we have these planets moving into the sign of Gemini, it's really, really, it's natural and expected to be in multiple things at once, maybe in multiple ideas, conversations, just having lots of different things going on perhaps. But it's also good, I think, to remind us to ground and to stay solid, stay firm, and like just not jumping into things too quickly, or not overwhelming yourself by doing too many things all at one time, or too quickly, or something like that. That is all a possibility as we start to move into the sign of Gemini. Focusing mostly on the positive because we're leaning into our intention, so we're leaning into the energies here, right? If we're leaning into energies, we want to lean into positive things. We don't want to lean into negative things. That's just natural. So, yeah, that's just my little thing about moving from Taurus into Gemini. And I'm going to pull my notes up here so we can take a look at the transits that we have. I'm taking a look at the comments here really quick too, guys. Oh, hey, Kevin. Yeah, it's been a couple Tuesdays, but I do know that you've caught some replays also. So I appreciate when you come back, and you sometimes you'll comment on there and let me know that you're coming back for the replays too. So thanks for being here, and hope you have been well along with everybody else. So this week, Mercury moved into Gemini yesterday, so that would be Monday, June 3rd. So like I said, it's now one of the planets that we have in the sign of Gemini, and Gemini is Mercury's home sign, home place. So Mercury is now able to act like Mercury, okay? Mercury likes to, in the sign of Gemini, remember that each planet has two signs that it rules, and there's a little bit of a duality within those signs. But Mercury ruling Gemini likes to pull little pieces apart. It likes to assimilate lots of different information. It likes to consider lots of different things, consider different parts. It starts to move very quickly, and this is part of the change of pace too. So like so we talked about how the sun has been in Gemini for the last couple weeks or so. Maybe now over the last few days, as Mercury, that planet that relates to our mind, our thoughts, perception, our communication, the way we process things, all of those mental things up here that we talk about all the time. Now that Mercury is in the sign of Gemini, our mind is moving a little bit quicker. Our mind is jumping from one thing to our next. Our mind may want to, or the way we communicate things might want to express a little more, might want to communicate a little bit more, what might want to bring different things together, or start experiencing things differently, might want to start shifting and changing the energy. Gemini is the sign of the twins, so there's that duality within Gemini, right? You have like the interplay between light and dark within the sign of Gemini. Gemini, just like Sagittarius on the other side of the wheel, these are two places where we have, within the zodiacal year, we have the changeover from light to dark. So think about Gemini season in relation to springtime. Whenever springtime is for you, whether it's right now, springtime going into summer, or it's on the other half of the year. Anyways, think about springtime, and think about how like that light, as it's starting, as like you're coming through spring, getting closer to summer, days are getting longer, right? We have more daylight, sunsets are later, and then you get to a point where you have the longest day of the year for where you are at. And then instantly, the very next day, we start, although we don't notice it right away, because we're still right in the heat of summer or whatnot, right away, we start losing minutes of daylight. So it's like you have this buildup of gaining of light, gaining of daytime, gaining of sun and solar energy, and then as soon as you get to the top, it's like a roller coaster. You have that climb up to the top, and as soon as you get there, it turns and you start to go back down, okay? That's what you have within the sign of Gemini. You have the opposite in the sign of Sagittarius. You have that gaining of dark and that like losing of light, and then you have right there at the very end, you have the very end of Gemini, the very end of Sag, you start gaining light instantly. So just as quickly as we start to lose light in Sagittarius, it starts to gain as soon as we get to that first degree of Capricorn, okay? Same thing happens in Gemini. In Gemini season, we are gaining light, and then we instantly start to drop off. So there's this gaining of light, which we can translate to a gaining of intelligence, a gaining of information, a gaining of some sort of power and knowledge, some sort of outward some sort of outward extroverted expression of some kind. That's solar, where lunar would be more of a introverted or feminine type expression. And then you have that instant change right there at the end, where we hand over to where light is still absolutely dominant, but there's this like tiptoe into the dark. So you kind of have that within the duality of Gemini. People talk about like the light twin or the dark twin. I don't necessarily like to look at it that way. That's a little too negative for my mindset. But you have this back and forth between two things. You have it the same thing in the sign of Sagittarius. You have it in Virgo and Pisces as well. You have it in all of the double-bodied signs. So there may be this kind of back and forth within your mind here, moving through Gemini. Maybe a back and forth of tools and resources, and information coming available to you. Or if it's not like a back and forth, like the back and forth feels more like a ping pong game, which is definitely very mercurial in its own right. But like, instead of being either or, it's more like both and type of thing, okay? So Gemini wants to consider all parts of things, and then taking all those little parts of it together apart, and then seeing what we can build with it, and then like taking them all apart and then seeing like what else we can build with it. Mercury is very mentally stimulating on its own. Gemini is very mentally stimulating on its own. We have and then we have Venus sitting there too in the sign of Gemini, which is going to be sitting right with the sun and the moon at the time of the new moon that we have on Thursday. So Thursday morning, 8:36 a.m. Eastern time, translate to your own time zone if necessary. New moon at 16 degrees, 17 minutes of Gemini. Venus is sitting at 16 degrees, 48 minutes Gemini. So literally less than a degree apart. Venus is Cazimi, sitting right in the heart of the sun at the time of the new moon. We've talked a lot about when another planet meets with the sun, it's a resetting period for that planet. And Venus is actually sitting with the sun for several days. I think, did we talk about this last week? I might have mentioned this last week. We have several days where the sun and Venus are sitting right there together. So we have this resetting period of Venus at the same time that we have a new moon, which is a resetting period of the lunar cycle, okay? So take all of these Mercury Gemini things that we just talked about, and all of that is going to translate into the new moon, plus the addition of it being a new moon and then Venus sitting there and the aspects, okay? So, new moon in the sign of Gemini brings in some sort of new cycle of all of these Gemini type things. So it's some sort of new form of communication, some new form of processing things, or maybe even just like a different way of looking at some specific thing or communicating about some different thing. Maybe the way you put two different pieces of something together. Some sort of new starting of these type of things. That is the new moon in Gemini, just on its own, okay? Some sort of new process, mental process within your mind, something related to the tools and the resources that you have available to you. Some sort of changing of the mind, changing of a form, or changing of a shape. Mercury is a planet that does not have a gender that is assigned to it. Its gender is based on where its position is relevant to the sun. Other planets take on feminine or masculine qualities based on their position, but the other planets are all classified as either masculine or feminine. So you have another layer of this duality built into Mercury, where there's like a fluidity, there is a transition of something, there is this like changing of shape originally with the intention. I had something like, I allow mental connections to take shape or take form, and that was like a Mercury influence there, but I went with stimulated instead. I thought it sounded a little punctual. So you have this new moon in the sign of Gemini, and it's a possibility for something new to start wherever these Gemini qualities are in your life. Possibly for something new initiating or starting within the house that you find Gemini within your own chart. So that would be a good place to kind of look for some clues and then see what's going on in that area of your life. And then we have Venus sitting right there too. So not only do we bring in this newness and this new cycle of the mercurial things, but we have to throw Venus in there, and having some sort of initiation or some sort of new cycle of Venusian and mercurial type things together, okay? So those Venus things being all of those things that bring us joy, pleasure, beauty, aesthetics, relationships, women, friendship, enjoyable things, pleasure, anything that brings us enjoyment, peace, balance, harmony, all of those lovely, wonderful, comforting type things, okay? Comforting is a very, Venus type word. So there's this opportunity to bring in more Venusian energy while also allowing for this entrance of mercurial energy. And I say entrance of mercurial energy because as the sun, moon, and Venus are sitting together at 16 degrees, Mercury will be just about 10 degrees behind that little cluster. So Mercury is starting to get into that range where you can start to call it an applying conjunction, where the planets are starting to come into unity and starting to work towards a unification. So it seems like that's another level of bringing in energy, bringing in information, and another level of starting something new and some sort of new initiation. This would definitely be a time where I could hear people talk about shifting of energy and things kind of changing, things feeling different, things flowing different, something kind of like that. So something new relating to joy seeking, something new relating to something that we find enjoyable, pleasurable, some sort of fluidity. Both Venus and Mercurial are both social planets. They both like to bring things together in a way that they work. They like to bring things together differently. Mercury likes to bring things together in a compartmentalized type way. So it's different pieces of a machine that all have their type of their own job, but work towards a greater common goal. So I'm thinking of the different gears and pulleys and things inside of a specific type of machine to make the machine work. Venus likes to bring things together in the way that it likes to unify and meld things together. So maybe we take one thing or one person and we meld it together with another, and we take those two things and bring them together to either be one or intertwine somehow to where they meld and mesh very, very cohesively. So the mercurial thing is more separate. It's more looking at the individual pieces to make it a whole, but they're both unifying, and they're both social in that unifying type way. So Mercury likes to communicate different ideas. It likes to bring in different ideas, bring in different information, wants to bring in information and understand more. It wants to put together different philosophies and just different bits of information, where Venus is more social in that way that it wants to unify and bring together two parts. So two people, a person and an idea, a person and a thing of some kind, something that is enjoyable. In Gemini, Venus often wants to collaborate with others on on bringing together some sort of harmony, some sort of balance. You could see like working together for a common cause of whatever that common cause is. Could be something like bringing together two ideas to make them work well, while being able to like maintain their own thing. These are all just possibilities. It can work out, like I said, works out differently for everybody, but it comes down to some sort of new cycle starting for Venus and Mercury coming together. And I allow mental connections to be stimulated. So mentally connected. I feel like mentally connected, or like mental connections, I feel like within that phrase, you can start thinking about Mercury and Venus together. You could start thinking about just Mercury, sure, but you could start thinking about Mercury and Venus coming together. So how are you able to maybe communicate something maybe a little bit more fluidly, a little bit more harmoniously? How can you bring a little bit of more joy into your mental state? This is also a placement where there could be like mental health days, mental health self-care, really like paying attention to our mind, body, and soul connection. Meditation, great time for that. So it can be something as big as like meeting a new person or coming into some sort of new opportunity that opens lots of doors for you. Or it could be something like looking at something new in a different way or a different perspective, which could maybe seem like a small thing, but turns out to be a big thing in the end. And this whole new moon scenario that we have is in a square to Saturn in the sign of Pisces. So we've talked a lot about Saturn and what Saturn represents. The square to Saturn for the new moon is where I get the stimulated from. So to me, that square to Saturn, remember I've talked about the square as being something that like just makes us just uncomfortable enough to where like we want to move and we want to do something different. So that square to Saturn feels like it's stimulating us to review patterns, review the systems, review the way things have been working, like on a Mercury-Venus level. So like, how has your peace of mind been? Like, have you been able to be in a mentally stable place? Do you have all the resources to reach the Venusian goals that you have? Because if not, Mercury can help you find those. So reviewing these things, looking at what's worked and what has not, and you have this like deep, serious evaluation that will make us, or like kind of prompt us or give us the energy to stimulate us to maybe do that, whatever that shift is that's working for us. Squares can be hard and can be difficult, but good things come out of it. We've been talking about the trine between Jupiter and Pluto. That's still there. I don't want to drone too much on that because we've talked about that for the last couple weeks. But this square to Saturn between the new moon feels like it brings a lot of the similar energy that we have between the trine between Jupiter and Pluto. This like activation of the mental realm that we've already kind of had, and like the expansion and changes and possible like transformation to Jupiterian type things, or maybe Jupiter putting a spotlight on Plutonian type things, so bringing up things from the depth that we just can't quite hide anymore, or we just can't quite ignore. Like, it's here, it's in your face, and it's large Jupiter size, so you're going to have to deal with it now type of thing. All of that is like kind of square to Saturn type things. Make us kind of think a little bit. And then that trine between Jupiter and Pluto can initiate us to, like, within the mental realm, understand something a little bit different. So it seems like it gives kind of a similar feel to the square to Saturn that we have with this new moon here. So some serious energy, but lots of possible like forward energy here with that, really with Gemini in general, honestly, guys. But this is a really, really cool moon. Anytime that you get a new moon with Venus conjunct right there, first of all, it doesn't happen that we get a new moon with a planet like exactly conjunct right there. But it feels like it's another good like opportunity, oomph, or chance for the Jupiter-Uranus stuff that we've talked about. I know you guys are getting tired of hearing me talk about it, but it's still in play, it's still in fact, and all of this Venusian energy, since that happened in the sign of Taurus that is ruled by Venus, all of this other Venus stuff that is happening is playing off of it, because it's all just a series of events. Like, our life doesn't work where like one thing happens and that's it, and then like it's not interconnected to the things that happen after it, or has no correlation to the things that happened before it. No, everything is interconnected. Everything is a domino effect that affects, one action or reaction has a chain effect on like what happens next, and after that, and after that, and looking backwards in hindsight as well. The transits work the same way. So the energies, they may, when we say that they're active, they may be, some of them really are short passing. Like, you look at transits with the moon, Mercury, even sometimes Venus, depending on its speed and things like that. Like, they can be pretty quick moving, where maybe they might be a little more subtle, you might not notice them. But things don't always just play out like the day of. So that Jupiter-Uranus stuff and that like initiating, still very much in play, especially since Jupiter and Uranus coming together was initiating a new cycle for those two planets. Now the ruler of that conjunction is going through its own resetting while there's a resetting of the lunar period, while there's a new moon. So if there's anybody that feels like they quote unquote missed the boat when it came to Jupiter Uranus, it's kind of like you have another opportunity here. Maybe if there's been steps that have been taken forward of wherever Jupiter and Uranus is working in your life, then this is another step forward. Again, just consider how it works in your own life. So lots of really, really cool stuff to consider this week. I know I'm talking a lot. I know I'm talking really fast. Mercury and Gemini. I have Mercury in Aries in my birth chart, so my Mercury tends to go kind of fast anyways. You all kind of know that because you listen to me talk every week, or at least hopefully you do. And I guess all I can say about that is it's gotten a lot better. You should have seen me in high school because the talking was pretty much non-existent at that point. So lots of mentally stimulating energy, lots of possibilities of new beginnings, new resources coming in, another step, another chapter, things like that. I think it's a really, really cool new moon, guys. If you are a new and full moon person that does any sort of like rituals or activities or anything at all, absolutely like do it to the max this time. There's a lot of people that I probably don't have to like tell you to do that. If you are somebody that has thought about doing different things or just does things occasionally, I would definitely look to do whatever your thing is this time. If you put crystals out to cleanse them under the new moon or to clear their energy, I would absolutely do that. New moon, water, rituals, intentions, yoga practices, meditations, all of that type of stuff. I think this is a new moon that has lots of possibility for lots of people. Lots of expanding horizons, lots of new communications and new possibilities, and just things potentially opening up. And it's really, really exciting. Wherever Gemini is within your own life, in your own chart, there is some sort of duality. There is some sort of back and forth. There is some sort of ping pong wherever you see Gemini, from being in like a light place to a dark place, or like an easy place to a heavy place, positive, negative, whatever whatever you want to have on either side. There is some sort of ping pong between there. And now we have a possibility and an opportunity and a prompt to ping pong things into the more positive side. Venus is a benefic, so it's It's good energy that Venus is bringing in here. It might be fast, it might be quick moving, it might be swift in a Gemini mercurial type way, but it's good energy. So that's what I have for all of that. And then we'll get ready to get into our meditation. Couple cards that I have first. So last week I did just the tarot card. I went back to both this time. So we have the 2 decks that I've been using, and my other ones probably feel a little neglected. I should pull them out. So tarot card is the 3 of Wands here that we have. 3 of Wands relating to fire, initiation. So this feels like taking some sort of action, or like having some sort of inspiration, of some sort of passion. The 3 of Wands, these cards are a little bit different, but in the Rider-Waite deck, the 3 of Wands has a gentleman that is standing with the 3 wands like planted in the ground, and he's looking out over a sea or an ocean or something like that. Here we have the giraffe that is tightly grasping, so the foundation for the wands, tightly grasping the wands, and he's looking back, he's looking at not only the wands, but he's looking at this beautiful rainbow that is, I don't know if I get this closer, it's not gonna, there we go. He's looking at the wands that he has, but he's also looking at this beautiful rainbow that is off in the distance. So 3 of Wands shows me a hopeful future of some kind. It shows me having the resources, or a coming into the resources that you have in order to move forward with whatever the thing is. Very, very empowering. The 3 of Wands to me is very empowering, as in like, you are able to move forward and take the steps that you need to move forward. We are now going to give you the mental clarity to step forward and move forward. The 3 tells me that there is still lots of space to move forward, but we've already taken some good steps in the right direction of whatever is coming to mind of the thing that you're trying to do. So keep on your path, and don't waver. That's what I have. And then also very empowering from the Oracle deck here is the Direction Guardian, choose your path. So we'll see if we can get, can't quite. So you have the compass in the middle, and you have 4 different species, one of which being a human, all facing in different directions here. So Direction Guardian, choose your path. Very, very empowering as well, and choose your path. Like, you don't have to stay on this one path. You can go this way, you can go that way. Like, there's a fork in the road, and you have choices to make. That's very Gemini, very mercurial, of like holding out, having different possibilities and holding on to different things all at one time. So these 2 cards coming together, the 3 of Wands, of like having the resources and having a bright future, and having the ability to choose your own direction with the Direction Guardian here. Like, maybe with the mental clarity, maybe there will be an ability to have a little more autonomy, make our own decisions, or just be a little bit more empowered in our communication. That's very like Venus, Mercury, Venus type thing. Overall, very, very positive and empowering in my opinion. So those are the cards, and I think it just, when I pulled those, I thought it was just kind of upping the like positive, fresh, multifaceted, playful energy that we have within this Gemini new moon energy that we're coming into this week, and all of this mercurial Gemini energy that we have showing up in the sky around us. So, oh, and I thought the 3 of Wands, it was interesting too, because like the 3 of Wands, so like wands relating to fire, I see it as like very like loud. So like, here I am, this is what we have, like very, very firm in its very loud, very extroverted. I don't know why I'm not having anything else come to mind. When I was shuffling the cards, how this one was chosen is I was shuffling them like in this type of manner, and then I shuffled a couple times, and every time I shuffled, this card was like on top. So all the other cards were going underneath of it, not on top of it. And then it just kind of flipped over. So I felt like it was kind of very like fiery, like in your face, extroverted. So I thought that I kind of chuckled a little bit once I grabbed that. So I'm glad that you love the rambling, Kevin, because that's kind of just, I don't know any other way. I'm trying, I really am. Forward. Yeah, Tom, moving forward. And like I said, that Gemini energy gives us multiple avenues, multiple options for moving forward. Like maybe there's one general outcome, but half of it is the journey getting there, right? Like when you drive to a destination, you can take the quick, fast route, you can take the scenic route. Yeah, Melissa, I'm glad this is resonating with you and working. You know, I keep it broad because that energy, it does affect all of us differently. You can't just point blank say that like everybody's going to be anxious and everybody's going to be nervous. Some people are going to be anxious, some people are going to be nervous. Some people are going to experience new things that are exhilarating. So there's just so many different ways that it can play out. So let's get ready to move on to our meditation here. I'm going to go ahead and just take a couple deep breaths to kind of recenter all this airy energy that we have buzzing around us, because I absolutely can feel it buzzing around this room. Feel free to join me or not. Self-guided. One more. Fresh new paths, fresh new mental connections, new stimulations of paths and perspectives and what we can see are in front of us. A breath of fresh air, a breath of being able to say, I finally took care of that thing, I finally resolved that thing, I finally had the courage to speak up about that thing and communicate exactly what it is that I'm feeling. Those Venusian feelings that are within inside of you, those desires, those things that bring us peace, those things that bring us harmony, we have to be able to communicate those, or otherwise we cannot fully incorporate them. We can't even bring them into existence if we cannot acknowledge these things that we desire and be able to communicate them on whatever level we have to effectively. So good stuff here. Good stuff on lots of levels in typical mercurial fashion. So let's get ready to move on. We have our intentional candle, which is white as always. I want it to be white so that way we can amplify the energy and you can change it into any color that you want it to be. First color that comes to your mind, if you have one that pops in, I go for that one. Because that is your heart and soul telling you exactly what color you need. And then if you don't know what colors mean, you can look the color up later on too. That's a fun way to do it, and you'll see how it resonates. So our intentional candle here that we will ignite, and as I light the flame, I will repeat the intention out loud. Feel free to recite it with me, whether it's out loud or in your own head, writing it down, or whatever suits you wherever you are at this moment. So get ready to light our intentional candle. And as we light it, it ignites. As the flame grows, so does our intention. I allow mental connections to be stimulated. I allow mental connections to be stimulated. Let's start by stimulating our own connection within our own being, within our own self, within our own energy. So let's start by cultivating a connection with our breath, as always. start by just spending just a quick brief moment with the level of energy that you came here with today. Assessing our breath, not judging it, just observing, waiting, seeing what happens. Whatever it is that happened today that has brought you into this condition of the breath, whether it's fast or slow, whether it's easy or difficult. Not giving too many prompts here, just letting you sit within your own space. Keeping this brief today, but allowing us to enter a little mental space of giving ourselves grace, giving ourselves recognition, and giving ourselves some mental love. Then when you feel ready, slowly start to deepen the breath. Each inhale is slightly longer than the one before it. Each exhale slightly longer and letting out slightly more air than the one before that. Today, as you start to deepen the inhales and the exhales, I invite you to bring a little awareness to your posture. Take as much time as you need to incorporate this into your breath work. But as you are breathing in and out, and as your inhales and exhales start to steady, bring a little awareness to your posture. Whatever position you are in, is your back and your spine in a neutral position? Whether you're sitting up or laying down? Are you sitting up tall, straight and erect, or are you slouching? If you're laying down, is your body flat against the surface and supported? Or do you feel a little tense? Maybe even a little contracted? Lengthening our neck and our spine, perhaps releasing our shoulders down if they're slightly tense. If you're sitting in a cross-legged position or any other position, perhaps you bring your hands to either your knees or the surface below you, palms down or palms up, whichever feels best. If you find that you tend to bring your palms down, perhaps you need to ground and bring some sort of energy into your own being. If your prompt was to bring your hands in the upright position, perhaps you have energy to give and to share. Perhaps your energy is expanding upward and outward. This week, the sun, the moon, and Gemini meet at 16 degrees, right in the middle. Halfway through Gemini season, One half already experienced, the other half not. A level of duality within a sign of duality. The ending of one cycle leading to the immediate beginning of another cycle. Just as the sun within the solar year starts to lose its daylight just as quickly as it reached peak daylight. Duality. Creating something new in the mental, airy realm of Gemini. What piece is missing from your current puzzle? What step? What action? What thought? What conversation would help you on your path or your journey? You've had lots of Taurus energy. Perhaps you've started to feel a little bit stuck. Perhaps there's been some sort of claustrophobia and inability to move. As we move into Gemini, the ceiling or the top of the box that you feel confined to is removed. And you can now see all the different pieces coming together. A new cycle in a sign that likes to experience new, exciting things, likes new information. Try something different, experimental. Meanwhile, Venus joins the planets. So as Venus sits with both of the luminaries, both the sun and the moon, we not only get a restarting of the lunar cycle, our monthly new beginnings, new chapter. But Venus is resetting and moving on to her new chapter as well. Just as we turn the page into a new lunar cycle, we also turn the page into a new Venusian cycle. All answering to Gemini and Mercury. So now I ask you, where can you bring some cohesion into the mercurial part of your life? How can you have that conversation tactfully and fluidly? How can you take two separate individual working parts that are operating individually but perhaps are having a difficult time unifying and coming together? How can you bring some sort of balance and harmony and unity there? How is your mental health today? Do you feel like your thoughts are scattered? Or do they feel cohesive and like they're working together? The social connections within your life, do they bring you peace and harmony? Do they bring you new information or tools and resources that can benefit your path in some way? How can you let go of what truly does not serve your mental capacity well, while moving forward tactfully and gracefully? Today I give you prompts to stimulate mental connections within your own thoughts and within your own mind and within your own moment of meditation. I invite you to consider what two parts within your life need to be connected together. Where is there this need, this desire to bring harmony and balance and cohesion? Where is this desire to bring kinship and understanding? This is a new moon and therefore a lunar cycle that can have us moving in an upward direction, moving higher and higher and higher. Allow the square to Saturn to bring you a level of stability, a little bit of seriousness, and a little bit of consideration of what works well and what does not work well. Moving forward, choosing your own path, knowing that you have or will obtain the tools or the resources or the information that you need. Going forward confidently while speaking your own truth in a harmonious, tactful, fluid way. Not being too rigid while still being firm and solid. Duality. As our meditation comes to a close, I thank you for making this space and time for yourself. And I encourage you to come back to this space as often as you are able to, in whatever capacity that you are able to. Because as long as you have the connection to your breath, you have a connection to your own soul, your own mind. The universe and ultimately the source that we all come from. We are each one drop in the ocean, but you cannot have an entire ocean without all of those individual drops. So each drop on its own does matter. So at times it's possible to forget our place, lose our voice, get distracted. But this is a time to come back to the mind and see what's going on within that head of yours, rather than focusing on the entire ocean. New mental connections will come on their own. But with this new moon, there is a lot that starts here. Here and here. Bringing together the mental realm and your own individual energy. Your heart space here, your soul that lives within there. So, thank you, all of you, for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I say thank you to those of you that are saying thank you, because I appreciate you. Susan, hi. I didn't say hi to you yet, so thank you for being here. This meditation might have been just a little bit different with all of the different prompts. Hopefully it wasn't overwhelming, but Gemini season, Mercury, Venus, Sun, new moon in the sign of Gemini, could be lots of different things coming together. Remember to allow yourself to experience all these different parts, all these different Gemini possibilities, parts, tools, resources, all these different things. But keep yourself grounded, like feet planted firmly on the ground, head up in the sky at the same time, right? Like we ground ourselves into the earth, we look to the sky, that type of thing. I think that type of mentality is really, really good right now, and might allow you to kind of like have a little more stamina to go a little bit longer. Gemini is a sign that could run out of mental steam by like front loading, kind of like how Aries can get a little bit physically burnt out and emotionally burnt out. Gemini can put too many irons in the fire. So just things to be mindful of. Thank you all for being here as always. Look for a new intention on Sunday. You can find that on Facebook page, Instagram page, on the website meditativeastrology.com, and on the YouTube channel on the community tab there. Go on Facebook, find the Facebook event on the Meditative Astrology page for next week. Go and click that you're going or interested or whatever it is that you prefer, so that way you have a reminder next week, as well as helping spread the event to other people so other people will see it and join us. I know we've had some people watching the replay, and that's really, really exciting to see, and we've had some new people pop on within the live too, so super, super exciting. If you haven't already, like, follow, and subscribe on the social media pages, YouTube, all of that helps. And if you know anybody that you think might want to join our meditation, send them a direct invite if you'd like to. It all helps, and the more energies that we have here together, the more expansive it is. And what better time to expand than when we have this new moon in the sign of Gemini. Yeah, so thank you all for being here. Thank you for your support, and yeah, just thank you. So have a great week. Reach out at any time if you need to, and I will talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.